All right, guys. So look, apparently Nick Fuentes done picked up a new fan. Okay, and lo and behold, it's Mr. L Boyd. Looks like it's becoming a fan of Nick Fuentes. Okay, you know, we got a few videos we're gonna take a look at because I think it's time for someone to spell this out clearly, right? So we're going to watch a few minutes of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and thoroughly explain why Mr. L. Boyd is wrong for going along with this rhetoric.
Now, based off of the sheer amount of people who told me to watch it, and then the amount of people who told me not to watch it, all right, I'm going to watch this video. We're here for that. We're absolutely here for this. Listen, I've heard of Nick Fuentes. I've not heard a single good thing about him, all right? But whatever, we're here for that. I'm not weak, all right? Let's check it out. Let's see where this video takes us, guys. This is a suggestion via multiple channel members, all right? Let's do it.
It's a shame. I really do believe. Look, I think black people are not irredeemable, but there just needs to be brutal honesty. It's like, look,
Okay.
these black people are really struggling and they're
So, you want brutal honesty? I'm going to give you some brutal honesty today.
turning into these maniacs. It seems like they don't do anything right. They're obnoxious, they're rude, they're inconsiderate, aggressive,
We're going to talk about these things today.
cruel, and look, nobody hates black people for being black.
Stop it. Get some help.
If
You know, I think that statement right there pretty much should tell anyone everything they need to know about Nick Fuentes. Okay, it really should. We can observe over and over and over again commentators reviewing, someone doing something bad, right? Getting arrested for, whatever, DUI, no license, whatever else. If the person is black, a lot of times it's going to be racial, right? They're going to bring in the statistics, they're going to like racialize the whole thing. If they're not black, then it's going to be individualized, right? They're not going to bring up race as an issue when the person isn't black. That should tell you a lot about those commentators. Okay. If every single time a commentator reviews something of a black person doing something wrong, and then they're talking about statistics, they're talking about this is black culture, they're talking about, black people have a problem, they're talking about all these other things, and then apply a double standard when it comes to other people from different backgrounds, and then they're just ignoring race altogether, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
there are people like that, I think that's exceedingly rare. And I don't consider myself one of them. The reason that people have negative attitudes about black people is because
Personal
most
experiences.
people's interactions with black people are negative.
I'll give you that.
Just think about that statement. Hold on, we gotta rewind this right here because this is just, it's phenomenal.
The reason that people have negative attitudes about black people is because
Personal
most
experiences.
people's interactions with black people are negative.
Most people's interactions with black people are negative. This is one of those things to where he's trying to play it off like he's not a racist. But that's what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to use a false narrative as a defense for his racist views. That's exactly what this is. Okay.
I'll give you
Most
that.
people's interactions with black people is when you're stuck in traffic and you see a Nissan Altima speeding down the shoulder.
Oh my God, not the Ultima. Okay, listen. So as of right now, I'm not hearing anything that's kind of off, off color, let's say. Like every single thing that he just said here, I can imagine my mother or my father specifically sitting in a room, right, and having a conversation kind of about these things pretty much in the open here. I think black people, the ones that are not associated, let's say, with like hood culture, have these conversations all day long. If this is why you guys told me not to watch it, I'm thoroughly confused. Absolutely, the monologue that has happened in my household growing up for the entirety of me growing up. I don't hear anything wrong with this so far here, guys.
With black people is when you're stuck in traffic and you see a Nissan Altima speeding down the shoulder.
Like, is it
And you
everyone?
say,
No.
What the f? You're not supposed to do that. If everybody did that, it would just be another lane, and not everybody can do that.
Right.
But it's like these people have no respect for decorum. They think the rules don't apply to them. They have no respect for society. Like that's their interaction is they are a waiter and they wait on a black table and the black people don't tip and they're rude.
Guys, I tip super high, like 50, 60%, because I literally know I've been out with other people and they were just like, I'm not leaving no tip. I'm like, what? Right? I end up doing it, but I specifically tip 50 to 60% on average.
So here's what I got to say about this. Okay. The question of, being a good tipper or a bad tipper has a lot more to do with your financial situation than your freaking race. Okay.
Just to make up for the shortcomings.
Like that's most people's interactions. It's stuff like that. They go to the DMV and they see a black person behind the counter and they say, oh, here we go. And the person's rude. Now, it just goes to show.
So they say, oh, here we go. Just at the sight of seeing a black person. Okay. That is insane. I can't imagine living in a world where you see, people from different backgrounds like this. I really couldn't. People in any office, like the DMV, like any official office like that, right? Especially when they're packed, when there's a lot going on, almost all of them are probably going to be rude. Especially if you don't come prepared, if you don't know where you need to go, right? If you go up there wasting their time, then yeah, they're probably going to be rude. Okay? So, this is not about race. This is about like the human condition of people, being too easily annoyed. Let's put it that way, right? This isn't a racial issue.
Oh, people are not racist. It goes to show people don't like people that are rude. That people don't, it's unpleasant. People want to be treated with consideration and respect.
Yeah, we're definitely going to show you guys, a lot of the things he's talking about, right? That dignity and respect that, supposedly white people in general, are a lot more respectful and not rude and any kind of stuff like that. Yeah, I'm hopefully going to thoroughly debunk this talking point.
And it is true that black people are, in this day and age, unfortunately, seem to have very low moral character. It's not even just the violence, although the violence is pretty striking. If you live your life and you know that you're going to be mugged by black people, it kind of colors your opinion or perception of black people, wouldn't you say? If 99% of the carjackings and stabbings and shootings that you see in Chicago are by black people, when you're walking down the street late at night, guess what you're looking for? Black people.
So before we get into the other areas we're going to go through, I got quite a few different videos we're going to be taking a look at today. Okay. The simplest way to put this: broken societies create broken people. That is the simplest way to put it. And no one is exempt from that. So let's go ahead and review another video from Mr. L. Boyd, reviewing someone doing some of the things that Nick Fuentes was talking about, except this guy was not black. Okay, and I watched this video we're getting ready to look at a long time ago. And I don't remember Mr. L. Boyd bringing up race at all, right? Even though a lot of the things that we are talking about right now, this guy exhibits it perfectly. Like, it's exactly, it's even worse than what this guy's talking about. So this video came out a year ago, all right? So like I said, it's been quite a while since I watched this. Extended dash cam video. Portland man plows through Grand Floral Parade barricades.
The convention center exit! Every motherfucking exit! You pump! Yeah! 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 Yeah!
All right, guys, really quickly, there seems to be some mental issues here, guys. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know why you're getting so upset over a parade to the point where you're cursing as loud as you possibly can at the people doing road work. What did they do, guys? Right, all right, let's get it.
Now, for some reason, this guy thinks I'm just gonna go the way I was gonna go originally. I don't care that there's barricades blocking the path. You know, and I am just so glad that at least no one got hit. That's the main thing, right? But that's kind of beside the point. But I just have to bring that up. Okay, we can't ignore that.
Guys, the fact that this... Nah, bro, really? You really? Oh, bro, you going to jail. Bro, there's a kid right there. If you... All right, listen, guys, he definitely 100% saw that police officer that just tried to stop him. He basically just hit the car and was just like, hey, listen, what are you doing? This is obviously a parade route. Now you actually have a motorcycle policeman coming up on the side of him. Guys, if you want to talk about entitlement, this is absolutely crazy. His entitlement is absolutely wild. Everyone knows. Once you got pulled over, they saw you at a dash cam. Oh, they took that, bro. They took that. Now look at you. Look at you. Like a clown out here, bro. Yeah, bro, he got away completely. I'm actually trying to find out where he got arrested at, guys, because... Okay, here goes. Police arrested him later that day. He's now facing 38 separate charges, including attempting to elude an officer, felony unlawful use of a weapon. Oh, the car. He got, oh my God. We get with kids. He deserves it. Bro, go to jail. Get off the streets. I'm sorry to say, bro. Listen, the level of road rage you put on display here is absolutely toxic. All right? But all right, guys, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.
So, the whole video, nothing about race. And I ask you, Mr. L. Boyd, if this was a black man doing this, would you have then started bringing race into it? That is my question. Because we already know if it was a black man doing this, Nick Fuentes or any probably conservative, person, right? When they would talk about something like this happening, they're going to bring race into it. It's like, this is what we've been telling you the whole time. This is black culture. This is thug mentality. This is victim mentality. This is all these other things, right? Everything to do with this is happening because he's black. So now we're going to take a look at a few minutes of this, the most satisfying compilation of sovereign citizens getting humbled.
To reduce my license, you all are failing to reduce your payment.
Sovereign citizens believe they can bend the law to their will, even charging officers just for showing their ID. But what happens when their self-made rules collide with reality?
Why'd they break my windshield?
Because you didn't comply with the lawful order.
Okay, I don't have to.
Alicia.
This ain't legal. Legal is fiction.
All right, Alicia.
I am law.
I am law. Legal is fiction. Do y'all see this nonsense?
Because I'm law. I am the living, breathing human woman to the land.
Get off me, dude. What the f is your problem? Go. Get the f off me.
Here are several moments where sovereign citizens try to bend the rules, but get a well-deserved reality check from the cops.
So here's the thing. This is one of the main things I want you guys to understand. Okay? It is extremely common for sovereign citizens to be white.
Thing on you at all. You got license, registration, insurance with you?
Yes. Sorry, is there a better place for me to put that? Because that's where the
Yeah, you're.
dealership kind of.
Yeah, so you're supposed to have it inside the license plate well, like so when your lights are shining on it, your license plate lights. That's what they're fixed back there for.
Yeah, the dealership kind of just put it there.
Yeah. So what I always tell people is take, packaging tape, tape it front and back with packaging tape, and then put it on there so no water gets into it. You got your insurance card with you?
21, sir.
Okay, because you look a lot younger than that, man.
Yeah, I have my insurance. Okay, if I go in my glove box.
Yep. Yeah. Is there anything in the vehicle?
What?
Is there anything in the vehicle?
Can I help you?
Huh?
Like, do you have any guns?
Oh, weapon. Sorry, sir. I just got off of work. No.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe a knife or two.
Okay,
somewhere.
as long as you don't grab it, I don't care.
I don't like.
Illegal.
You're good.
Law is
Is this your car?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sorry,
While the officers tried to remain calm and focus on the teen they had pulled over, the sovereign woman kept interrupting, transitioning the one of the officers' focus from the teen over to her.
I was wondering what was going on. I was expecting the driver to be the sovereign citizen, and I was a little shocked because sovereign citizens usually don't cooperate at all, right? Even if they have a license, which they usually don't, okay, they're going to say, you're not going to get to see anything. And they just refuse everything. They'll roll their windows up, they'll lock the doors, they will be in the car until the police bust the windows and drag them out. That is a typical arrest for sovereign citizens.
You good?
What are you guys doing?
Alicia?
This is false.
Alicia?
This ain't legal. Legal is fiction.
All right. Alicia.
I am law.
We need you to step back.
I am law.
Alicia, we need you to step
I'm
back.
the living
Alicia.
This right here is extremely dangerous. I don't understand how in the world, like they don't understand this, with this commotion going on, right? These officers, especially at a moment when the driver's reaching in the glove box to get information out, right? And then you got this going on. This driver is doing the right thing. He's already being cautious. He's like, so it's okay for me to get it in the glove box. He said, yes. And then all of a sudden she comes yelling and screaming, right? If those officers get confused and sidetracked, right? And then all of a sudden start thinking, he's grabbing for something because their attention is now going to her and then back to him and then back to her again. Okay? This is a dangerous situation. And this lady here is putting this young man's life in jeopardy right now. That is how serious this is. And that is why she will probably get arrested for this. Okay?
Human
We need you to
woman
step
to the
back.
land God left me.
I understand. Alicia.
Do you understand?
I do.
And I understand. I overstand.
Not only that, by her taking the attention away from the driver, right? Because those officers are now focused on her. That is a good time if that driver is, got arrest warrants or, a lot of drugs in the car or whatever else. Guess what? That is a perfect opportunity for that driver to capitalize on the situation, reach for something, and then start shooting. Okay? That is why this is unacceptable. Because you are now putting the officer's life in jeopardy and you're putting the driver's life in jeopardy. Okay? All because you think the law is fake.
Seeing you
No, you
and
do
everyone.
not. Alicia, you need to move on.
No, I don't have to.
Alicia,
You
need to
can't
move
put
on.
your hands on me because what you're doing is
Alicia.
illegal. No, what you're
Alicia.
doing is illegal.
It's not Alicia.
You can't put your hands on me.
Alicia.
Stay
Stop.
as fiction.
Guess what they're going to do? They're going to put their hands on her. You want to know why? Because the law is real.
I am law.
We're gonna.
I am law. What you're
Alicia,
doing
move
is,
on.
No.
Alicia, move on.
What they're doing is illegal. You don't have to. What
I'm gonna go ahead and look her.
they're doing
Oh,
is
absolutely.
illegal. They can call their sheriffs. They
Alicia.
can call whoever.
Put your hands behind your back.
I don't consent.
I'm actually surprised they gave her that many warnings. Okay? Because like I said, especially when you got a driver that's reaching for their information or whatever else, that is a critical moment where those officers need to be hyper-focused on everything that's going on.
I don't comply.
Okay.
I don't consent and I don't comply.
Drop your drink.
I don't consent and I don't comply.
Alicia.
I am the living, breathing human
Okay.
woman to the land God left
Okay.
me.
Station, we got one in
I don't
custody.
consent and I don't comply. I don't consent and I don't comply. I don't consent and I don't comply.
I'm gonna dump her.
That's not what you're doing to me. You're wrong. You got kids? Feel sorry for them. I don't consent and I don't comply.
Okay.
While one of the officers was identifying the teen in the vehicle, the other officer preparing to get Alicia transported to the police station.
I'm just gonna kick him loose. Kobe?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know who that person is?
No idea.
Well, it is one of those nights. Hey, good job on the traffic stop tonight. Just make sure you take care of that, because if a highway patrolman pulls you over, they might give you a little bit of a problem. All right?
Will do.
Good job, buddy. Take care.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
You see that? When you cooperate, as long as you're not like going crazy, being disobedient, just everything else, there's a good chance, they might just let you off with a warning, but it really just depends on what your violation was. Okay? So these are not road pirates. We're going to be looking at someone here in just a minute who's going to claim that.
Yep.
What did you guys put me in the handcuffs for?
Disorderly conduct and
You
obstructing.
guys, legal is fiction. I am law. I do not consent or
Maybe.
Legal is fiction. Okay.
Even resist.
to anything you guys are talking about.
Okay.
Yes, I am law, sir. But I'm gonna let you learn the law. I love all you guys. I love your kids.
Alicia, come on.
You're about to learn. I am the living God. You take away everything
Could I have you
from
stand
me.
up? Can you face the wall, please?
I don't consent, and I do not
Alicia,
comply
can you stand up and
to
face the
your
wall?
legal
I'm
fiction.
trying
I
to
do
take
not
the job.
consent. I
Alicia.
do not comply to your legal fiction. I am the law.
Alicia, stand up so
I
I can take
do
the
not
cuffs off.
consent.
Alicia, stand up.
I do not consent.
Alicia, stand up.
I do not consent. I do not comply to your legal fiction. I am the law.
Alicia.
I do not consent.
I'm trying to take
I
cuffs.
do not comply to your legal fiction.
Alicia, quiet.
I am the law.
Yep, just leave them on. Just leave them on. That's what I would do. You know, just leave them on.
Alicia, quiet.
I do not consent.
Alicia, I gotta get you clear from the. I know. Let's go. Come on, stand up. Come on.
I'm overseeing your judges.
Okay.
You guys don't got authority over me.
Come on, Alicia.
You're going to have a moment to go talk to the judge. And it's going to be the same story when you do. So, look at this, okay?
Tomorrow, a sheriff's investigator will likely drive by here to confirm that Davis has violated the court order.
Nearly 25 years ago, I began covering complaints about this Central Florida home.
It's a junkyard.
Seminole County officials said the owner, Alan Davis, had been piling junk in his yard in violation of local ordinances.
But every time they keep screwing with me, I keep moving more. And there is nothing they're going to do about it.
Davis called it a political protest.
It's basically, I'm tired of the government steamrolling over people, and they can just kiss my.
Back then, Davis had just a small amount of junk on his property.
You think there's a lot here now? Why don't you come back by tomorrow? Let's see what I really think of the county.
At that point, Davis had not yet built this giant statue of a human rear end, which he would later load onto his truck and drive down the interstate while headed to court hearings.
The name of the sculpture.
So, this is the definition of secondhand embarrassment. Okay.
I find it, lose your life for Christ. Let me just walk out of here, man.
Okay. So what? Again, what's your long-term plan? So we put to bed this whole. I'm looking for this girl I met on the internet. It's against the law. You can't have a relationship with a 12-year-old. So the father forbid it. You're not welcome on this property. So what is your long-term goal here, sir?
Right now, I need to go take a shit, man.
Okay. So after that, so where are you going to sleep tonight?
Not in the business. Not in the business, that's for sure.
Okay.
God,
but
now.
Timothy, listen. So apparently, according to dispatch, we've been dealing with you in this capacity for a couple weeks now.
I will leave forever if that's what's in her heart that says that I do not want this guy. I will leave forever, and that 5 years has been one girl has been a long time.
So would you?
5 years.
So would,
5 years.
So would you agree with me that at 12 years old she's not?
I do not agree.
Okay. So well, I'm telling you that you're not to have any type of relationship. Okay.
So I really hope the point is starting to come across now.
Next, we go to a bond hearing in Broward County. Judge John Hurley presiding. The defendant is David Hall, a sovereign citizen who basically believes that certain laws don't apply to him.
Mr. Hall has declined the services of the public defender, Your Honor.
Hall is here for driving under the influence and driving with a suspended license.
Mr. Hall, DUI, expired driver's license.
Good morning, Judge.
As soon as the judge attempts to read the charges, Hall begins interrupting.
Sir, I haven't said for the court how I'm appearing today,
Well,
sir.
I'm not asking you yet. Just give me a moment, all right? I need to look at your record.
Turns out Hall is currently out on bond for 2 previous charges of driving with a suspended license. But that's not going to stop him from trying to make his case.
Sir, today I'm appearing as the agent and settler for David Hall.
Okay. Could you get Mr. Hall for me then, sir? Where is he?
I'd go by that name, sir. My name sounds exactly like the defendant's, and I'm here to settle that matter today.
So are you and David Hall one and the same person?
I'm not a person, I'm an individual. David Hall is a person, I am a private individual.
Hall's legalese is unconventional, to say the least, but the judge allows him to continue.
May I say something else for the record, sir?
Go ahead, sir.
I appear here today as the settler, agent, not the person, but the individual. And I don't think I should have you understand the difference between a person and an individual.
Agent, and you're the individual, but you're not the person. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
I'm going to write that down.
Judge Hurley is unfazed by Hall's attempt at a Jedi mind trick and begins to turn the tables.
Here's what we're going to do. The settler, the agent, the individual, and maybe even the person, David Hall, has been charged with DUI. So today, the court's going to set the settler, the agent, the individual's bond, and even the person's bond today at $10,000 because the settler, the agent, the individual, and the person continues to drive without a driver's license.
Hall's new bond is $10,000, but because this charge is a violation of his original bond, all versions of David Hall must remain in jail unless he can come up with the cash.
Both cases will cause the settler, the agent, the individual, and even the person, David Hall, not to be able to be released from the Broward County Jail until further notice of the court. So,
May I post bond, sir?
Now it's Judge Hurley's turn to have some fun.
Well,
is there any other?
Are you asking me as the settler, the agent, the individual, or are you asking me as the person?
Sir, I'm asking as the individual appearing before you today, the opportunity.
Who are you speaking on behalf of right now?
Sir, I don't understand that question. I believe that you're trying to confuse me now. I'm not the person, sir.
Okay,
I am not
the person,
person.
David Hall. Tell him.
No, he's using your own logic against you. That's what he's doing.
He's not leaving jail either, all right? Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Come on. Down the middle. Let's roll.
Next, we're at the Cheshire County Courthouse in Keene, New Hampshire. Court is currently in recess, but there is trouble brewing in the gallery.
Your choice is take the hat off or step outside.
The judge asked this man, Bo Davis, to remove his hat or leave. Otherwise, he could be charged with contempt of court. But Davis refuses.
So I have force threatened upon me if I were to wear a hat.
Davis and some others seated around him are associated with the New Hampshire-based anti-government movement. They're here to support a fellow member who's the defendant in a, quote, right to travel case that's in recess. These so-called sovereign citizens claim to be pushing back against what they consider overreach in the criminal justice system. And they're not afraid to get vocal about it.
I think you misunderstood. It's the judge's authority when he comes back. If at that point he says he's in contempt, then you have the authority.
Would not have been an issue had you. Your choice is take the hat off. I'm trying to be as nice as I can. I can't. You're making threats.
After more back and forth with Davis and relentless commentary from others in the gallery,
what's the matter with you guys, huh?
the bailiff is finally done discussing the matter.
Stand up, please. Sir, treat others as you would wish to. Please. I'm being nice. Well, I'm not going to assist in my own arrest. So I don't. You should take your hands off that man. Please stand up.
A second bailiff comes to help escort Davis out, but again he refuses to stand.
I'm not going to assist in my own arrest. I'm not asking you to assist. Please do not hurt him.
Instead of dragging Davis out of the courtroom, the bailiffs use a wheelchair.
They're just leaving people alone now.
As Davis is wheeled out, the group continues to insult the bailiffs.
Ever considered like a real job, one where you don't use violence against people?
Despite their protests, the court has authority to make rules about conduct in the courtroom. So a short time later, the judge returned to the courtroom and sentenced Bo Davis to 5 days in jail for contempt of court.
Wow. 5 whole days because he didn't want to take off his damn hat. Okay? And so, yeah, disorderly conduct, being rude, okay? This is what we're looking at right here. But it's funny how whenever these commentators are going over all of the issues with what they see in black people, right? They never bring up any of that stuff when they're looking at issues like this. They don't say, well, what's wrong with white people? Now, again, there's going to be some commentators who might take that approach, and I would say the same thing to them. You can't generalize an entire group of people based on what a few of them does. Okay? So, again, this isn't to say white people are this way. What we're seeing right here, this is white people. No. So, this is from Here's the Deal. Road piracy fail. So, let's go ahead and check this out, y'all.
By policy, you're supposed to give us name and badge number. What's your name? What's your badge number?
May I have your ID, please?
What crime you suspect me committing?
Okay, I have the right to identify everybody in the vehicle.
No, you don't.
I do.
I'm just letting y'all know. Please don't slip up because it will cost you your job. Boy, I need me some money. I need me some money, boy. I ain't lying.
Me too.
Yeah.
Now, here's one thing about this. All right. The video that we're looking at right now could actually be fake. I know for a fact that Here's the Deal has reviewed at least one video that I know is fake. Okay? That this one could be fake as well. I don't know a lot about what is going on in this video right now. We haven't seen very much context. If they've only talked to the driver so far and asked to see his license, then he absolutely has to show it to him, okay? Because he is operating a motor vehicle, and you have to provide proof that you are a licensed driver, okay? However, if they're talking to passengers and trying to get their licenses, that gets a lot more complex, okay? So there could be a few issues there. But I think that is when, like, probable cause and that kind of thing, and reasonable suspicion and that kind of thing comes in, right? So, to analyze that part, like, yeah, we need someone a lot more educated than me on that kind of thing, right?
Okay, I have the right to identify everybody in the vehicle.
No, you don't.
I do.
Unless
Now, did you notice that retaliation right there? When there was just a little bit of pushback, little bit of negativity from the cop's perspective, he went and retaliated. Oh, you're going to ask me what my name and badge number is? Why don't you give me your ID? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to use my authority, my unquestioned authority, to extract an ID from not only you, but from everybody in the vehicle, because he thinks it's his right under qualified immunity. But
so here's the thing. You know, I watch a lot of attorneys, okay, you know, going through and breaking down situations like this. Now, of course, again, I don't know if this video is fake. It might be fake, right? So, but the thing about it is, one of the things that I think is crucial for everyone to understand, even if you 100% believe you're in the right and the police don't have the right to ask you for anything or anything like that, right? That is not the place to air out all of your grievances. All right? So I would say the simplest way to do it, push back a little bit. But as soon as you start getting direct orders, do this, and do that, you need to do that. Okay? If those orders are unlawful, then you can fight it out in court. That's where you need to stand your ground and fight for your rights. Not on the side of the road.
what enabled him in his mind, in his little pea brain mind, what enabled him and his partner to pull these guys over? It was Terry v. Ohio. That gives them the right to violate your Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects. And in the minds of most cops, Terry v. Ohio gives them the right to trample virtually every one of your rights. And now they can operate under qualified immunity. They're not going to suffer any consequences for being a bunch of bogus turd nurdles.
have committed a crime or you suspect?
Mr. Kim Larson? No, Mr. Mr. Kim Larson? I apologize.
What's your name and badge number, sir?
The reason I'm stopping you is improper lane use and your windshield's cracked. Yes, sir. Thanks to an 18-wheeler. Yeah, Louisiana roads too. Huh?
Now he's fishing. Now he's fishing. Improper lane change. Oh, and your cracked windshield. They didn't see the cracked windshield when they were behind him in their cruisers. So now he's on a fishing expedition. Oh, now we'll get you on this. Now we'll get you on that. Oh, you're asking me for my name and badge number? Well, why don't you guys give me your IDs?
So here's the thing, right? What this guy is never going to acknowledge is the driving infraction that we're talking about right now is the way people die. Okay, you know, I went to the DMV one day and I overheard an instructor going over lane changes, right, to a new driver. He was going over this, and I was sitting there listening to that, and I thought, this guy really cares about his job and cares about teaching new drivers how to be responsible on the road. And what he told him was, before you merge to change lanes, use your signal and check your blind spots. If you don't, that is how motorcyclists die. Okay? So, that's like the worst scenario, but it's just as bad to swerve over and hit another car, because then they can slam into the guardrail, flip over, all other kind of crazy stuff, all from an improper lane change. All right. So this is a huge issue, and it is like the cops would actually be doing a disservice to see someone driving erratically, not following the rules of the road, and all these other things, right? And this guy here believes in the right to travel. So let's go ahead and debunk that real quick. You know, the road signs? Like, so many people don't realize how many different road signs there are and how important they are to understand their functionality. All right. So that is why one of the biggest reasons for people to have to get a driver's license before they just go and drive a car. All right. You know, it is about safety, not only for the people around you, but for yourself too. You know, imagine if we take it a step further, right? Let's take it to airplanes. Let's imagine the right to travel in some weird universe extends to airplanes, right? You want to be a pilot? Sure. The right to travel applies to you. You don't need you don't need a pilot's license, you don't need training, you don't need any of that stuff. Just go fly the plane, right? How long is it going to take before planes just start dropping out of the freaking sky? Not very freaking long. Okay? So this whole thing is just, it's absurd. It takes time and it takes patience learning how to drive a car, okay? And a lot of people go through all the training and still really don't know how to drive a car safely. But you can see that just by looking at the amount of car wrecks we get all the time. So I'm not going to watch any more of this. I think hopefully I've proven my point, right? You know, so the last point I want to make here. If at the end of this I said this is a white person problem, right, with the sovereign citizen and that kind of thing, this is a white person thing, right? Hopefully everyone would see that as blatant racism, and it would be. It would be the same thing to swap the races around for someone to look at black people doing bad things and saying, this is how black people are. This is just natural for them. That is not okay. That is also racist. Okay? Now, there are levels of racism. That's one of the biggest things I want to get across here. Okay? So I know Mr. L. Boyd addressed some of this, that he's been getting some backlash, right, lately, and said people calls him Uncle Tom. I don't know very much about that at all. Okay, but what I will say though is I'm not sure that actually applies to Mr. O'Boyd, that he's actually racist against black people. Okay. And like I said, there's levels to it. And I think that comes from propaganda meant to spread division and hate. Okay, that's exactly what that comes from. When people tells us we need to treat black people differently because of the color of their skin, that is racist propaganda. All right. And someone listening to that and thinking it's true, right, could start to get pushed down that road. Okay. And I think hopefully a lot of those people could eventually like come out of it, snap out of it, right? And come back to a place of sanity. Okay. You know, and hopefully this is just one small step forward. And anyone watching this entire video will have some better information going forward. So if you see someone pointing their fingers at black people or white people or whoever else and saying, this is how white people are, this is how black people are, you can't judge an entire group of people based on the actions of a few. It doesn't work that way. That is not okay. Alright guys, so I was actually done with the video, right? And then I come across this. Stevie Knight going over the same video we were just talking about at the start of the video. Okay, going over the same thing. And y'all just listen to this, okay, and see if you can pick up on the difference.
I was curious about his own interactions with black folks to have such a generalization of black folks. I mean, like, how many ghetto black folks are you running into that act that way? I mean, but he answered the question if he's living in Chicago, because there are certain parts of Chicago where there's nothing but that type of shit around. Well, at least that's what I heard. That's the narrative. You feel me? I ain't been in Chicago around all that. I ain't been in Chirac, but then it's like there's good pockets of Chicago too. So like, what you doing in Chirac? But anyway, that makes sense if that's all his interactions with black folks in Chicago. But even with that, it's like, I'm curious of the genuineness behind this video, because Nick Fuentes has to be smart enough to know that all black folks don't act that way, right? That's just the narrative. That's the image the media wants to depict black people as to perpetuate this divisiveness. But he has to know that, man. So, and he has to know.
Y'all see that? Stevie Knight called it out perfect. Okay? This is a product of racist propaganda. All right? Now, like I just said a few minutes ago, there's levels to this. Right? Now, the level at which Nick Fuentes is, I don't know. Okay? Like, we would need a lot more context. And, you know, it really depends on, I think, whether he believes the things he's saying is actually true, okay, that what 1350 is accurate, and that happens because they're black, right? So in that case, if that's like his worldview, that these are just the facts, and this is why I'm against black people, right? Don't get me wrong, that is still racist. Like, you're still like way up the charts at that point, okay? But you're not as far as someone who doesn't care whether that's false, okay? That just doesn't like black people in general, okay? That would say even a black man in a suit they don't like, right? Like, that's a whole other level. And also, the reason why I say there's levels to it, you could have a lot of people who are racist, but only towards middle and lower class black people, right? But see other black people as not the problem, okay? You know, but again, I think if you're looking at any groups of black people and saying you're the problem, then that's racist. It absolutely is. You know, look at what I said at the beginning of this video, right? Broken societies create broken people. Now, and that culture is created by society, right? It directly influences the things you're taught when you're growing up. It directly influences the people you hang around. It directly influences everything you come to learn and come to understand about the world you live in, right? You know, another way to put it is people tend to become products of their environment.
Response from black folks to a video like this, when you generalize all black folks as ghetto, loud, aggressive, you feel me? That's just entirely inaccurate.
But the problem is, Stevie Knight, there's a lot of black people, and it's getting more and more common for them to just think this is accurate information, and so it can't be racist if it's accurate. Okay? That's their philosophy now that they're going with, because it's just accurate, it's just truth, and you can't be mad at the truth, right? But they never seem to question if it's actually the truth or not, okay? Because it's simply not. You can't look at broken societies and broken people and not see the correlation there. So you're ignoring that correlation, but then you're also drawing a correlation between their race, their background, their heritage, all these other things that are irrelevant when it comes to a person's likelihood of being a criminal. You know, it's like I've said many times. If a white person grows up in black neighborhoods, he's going to be exposed to that same environment. So he's probably going to be doing all the same stuff, right? He's going to be looking for a gang to join. He's going to be looking for someone that's going to let him sell drugs. He's going to be looking for anything he can in order to survive in that harsh environment. That's literally what it is. Okay? You know, but a lot of people just ignore all the flaws of broken societies and just put it on the person. You know, and a lot of people, when they hear that, they'll say, well, that leaves no room for accountability. No, it still leaves room for accountability. Just by two things can be true at the same time. You can be responsible for the things that you've done. If you go and rob somebody, you should get in trouble for that, right? But you should also be able to evaluate the circumstances that led that person to commit that crime. Put it another way, let's look at serial killers. Look at Criminal Minds. Look at what they do when they do interviews with serial killers, right? Once they get the confession, why don't they just end the whole thing right there? They got the confession, they got the information they needed. Why do they need anything else? Well, I'll tell you why. One of the biggest things that they're always going to ask, or at least they should, but a lot of times, they're definitely going to ask this. Why? What happened in your life that caused you to go down this path? Okay. And why? Why is it so important that they ask them why? Why is it so important that they understand? Okay. I'll go ahead and answer that. There's quite a few different reasons. The first thing is learning about psychology. Learning about red flags, the warning signs, okay? The homicidal triad, for example, okay? From what they have learned from studying the psychology of killers, allows them to develop warning signs so that if a young person is exhibiting some of those warning signs, they might be able to act quickly enough to help that person deal with those issues, right? And not feel like the whole world is against them. And hopefully not go down that road of paranoia, anger, and hatred. But if we stop asking those questions, then we're just giving up. And at that point, we're not going to be prepared at all to maybe stop the next person from following in their footsteps. One of the big issues there is abuse, right? Or neglect, or a whole bunch of other things that can lead to someone being psychologically damaged, right? That's a major contributing factor right there, right? So what they learned from that is we need to take this neglect and child abuse a lot more seriously, because it's understanding the consequences that putting children through certain things could mess them up severely. And just to be clear, just because there are external factors that might have contributed toward pushing someone to becoming a psychopath does not excuse their actions. They still did horrible things to other people, right? And they need to be punished for that. But we could also say, if we can find proof that someone in your life did things to you that they shouldn't have, then they need to be held responsible too, because the things they did were wrong. That is accountability. We can't excuse accountability just because we don't like the person that they did horrible things to. Two wrongs don't make a right. What I'm going to say, I think this is a lot different than what I thought it was going to be, coming from Stevie Knight. I thought Stevie Knight was going to take the approach that a lot of other black commentators take and just go along with that like it's fact, like it's true, okay? And the reason why I say that is because for a little bit, it seemed like a lot of things Stevie Knight was talking about were coming from conservatives, okay? And even Tim Black at one point was saying that he was watching Stevie Knight, but was annoyed when he realized Stevie Knight is a conservative. Okay, we're seeing now. I wonder if maybe he started to listen to conservatives for a little while and then kind of like started realizing what was going on. You know, when they started trying to push that division and that hatred towards black people, that should be a huge red flag to everyone who isn't racist. Okay? Like, you want me to treat people differently because of the color of their skin? Are you insane? Are you literally insane? That should be your response to that rhetoric. That's exactly what your response should be. But it's not. For a lot of people, they just go along with it because they think it's true. So hopefully I have done my part, okay, just a little bit to counter some of these ridiculous talking points. All right. And thank you, Stevie Knight, for being a light at the end of the tunnel, because we've been going through a lot of darkness lately. All right.
Yeah, it's layers to it. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely layers to it, dog. You got the man, you got the machine, you got the elites out here playing motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Puppeteering this shit to make black people look a fucking certain way, dog. But at the end of the day, if every motherfucker out here that is black represented themselves the way they want the black community to be seen, to be respected, to be revered, to be, you know, looked up to, as we should, that would fix so much with the fucking black community, where we wouldn't have no Nick Fuentes or anybody else out here.
You mean like what you're doing, right, Stevie Knight? Aren't you leading by that example? Showing that you are being coherent, taking the time to understand someone's talking points, right? Thoroughly analyzing it, and then explaining everything you think is wrong about what they're saying. You know? He didn't get mad. He didn't start getting belligerent. He didn't start, you know, screaming and yelling and cussing and throwing a fit. He didn't do any of that stuff. So, right now, Stevie Knight is leading by that example that he's wanting other people to also abide by, right? And one thing I would say, though, is, again, broken societies create broken people. And a minute ago, he talked about that's black culture, right? But I would say, no, that's not black culture. That's what, you know, and even Stevie Knight isn't impervious to the media narrative, okay? He's not impervious to it. He's seen through a lot of it. What we can see right here. He's calling out Nick Fuentes, right? He's understanding that the media, you know, tries to create division and tries to paint black people a certain way to divide by race. That's what the media wants to do. Okay? So he sees that. But he also, you know, is missing a few things, and that is the examples that he's wanting more black people to adhere to, right? Poverty doesn't allow those people to be that way. It just doesn't. So the simplest way to put this, you are a lot more likely to commit crimes when you're poor. Now, we want to talk about selling drugs. I wonder if everyone is aware that selling drugs isn't something only black people do. Okay, white people do it just as much, right? You go and look at the statistics; they're almost even. In almost every category, they're almost even. So that's a lot of white people committing the same crimes. All right, and this whole thing about the 1350, I for one don't believe that it's only 13%. I think it's much higher. All right. And the only evidence I can give you to that is anecdotal. I didn't participate in the consensus. Okay. So, you know, that's the only evidence I could give you is anecdotal. Right. So I know if I didn't do it, that means there's probably a lot of other people who also didn't do it. Okay. And if you're going to comment and say that you did it and you do it every time, that's great. You know, but if you're going to say I'm wrong, then I ask you, please go and ask every single person you know if they did it. And if you find at least a few people who also didn't do it, okay, then you can't say that I'm wrong and that not doing consensus is uncommon. Okay. Because I would argue it's probably the other way, that participating in consensus is uncommon. You know, especially one of the other things too is it kind of makes sense for a lot of black people to not participate in consensus, right? Because if you already feel like the government is out to get you, then the thought and the theory could be that participating in that could shine a spotlight to who I am and where I am. Okay, so it makes sense that at least for some black people, they may not want to participate in that, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of different elements and things we have to look at. And, you know, a lot of people try to say racism isn't, you know, a big issue today, and it's just not, and everything else. But then I say there's a lot of people who believe in 1350, and even a lot of black people who believe in that and continue to spout that nonsense every single time you try to have a conversation with them about something. 1350 has to come up. It's one of their main talking points. I think the very fact that they're bringing up 1350 as if it's true is evidence that racism is still a problem. And Stevie Knight has just basically confirmed that, going along with what I'm saying, right? Because people keep trying to sell this division and the segregation and telling us we need to look at black people differently because they're black. That's not okay. And I will say the same thing if someone says we need to treat white people differently because they're white. I would say the same exact thing. You treat people based on the content of their character. Simple as that. You know, and Nick Fuentes, like I said, walks into the DMV, sees a black person, goes, oh, here we go. Instead of giving that person the benefit of the doubt, right, and treating them like a human being, you know, but instead he's like already expecting there to be some hostility because they're a black person. I can't even begin to explain the level of insanity that is. So we're going to go ahead and finish this video because I want to make sure I fully understand the entire message here from what Stevie Knight is trying to say.
Saying some bullshit unless they were really fucking racist, dog. And then with that, what I would allow us to see who the real racists are. You know what I mean? Like if you black and you out here talking the right way, walking the right way, looking the right way, got money, financially literate, know how to speak, you know what I mean, confident, have.
So again, broken societies is what the ultimate issue is here. Okay? And white people growing up in poverty are facing the same issue, right? And I would say it depends on the area, of course, but is usually not as severe as what black people are going through. And a lot of that is due to this, because of the rhetoric behind black people looking a certain way, acting a certain way, right? There's that negative stigma, that negative stereotype that people like Nick Fuentes is going to immediately associate with them, and maybe not even because of the way they act, maybe just because they're black, and that's racist.
Decorum, have etiquette, respectful, considerate, just knowing how to be a law-abiding citizen. Dog, we out here running this shit, dog. But nah, man, you know, the government want us to look stupid, want us to look ghetto, want us to look poor, want us to look weak, want us to look like gangsters, want us to be violent, want us to be killers and shit, man. Right? I mean, we're talking about Chicago, bro. How many fucking Chicagos are there in America, bro? You know what I mean? Just certain pockets of the world, that's certain pockets of America that's fucked up. Majority of black folks out here just working, trying to earn a living, dog.
There you
Ain't
go.
worried about.
See, I'm really appreciating this because that's something else he said a few minutes ago too. The majority of black people aren't acting this way, right? And you know, but one of the biggest things that I'm trying to address here is even the ones that are fitting that description aren't acting that way because they're black, aren't acting that way because it's part of their culture. Okay? The culture that they're adapting to is created by society.
About shit else, bro, but you know, that narrative definitely, you know, that narrative definitely is a motherfucker, man. So, yeah, I hate it. Right. Yeah, what? To sum it up, I know I'm long-winded, bro, but to sum it up, dog, it's a lot of right with what he said about certain black folks in the black community, bro. But, you know, he wrong as fuck by sitting here generalizing all black folks that way. But as a black person, if you take offense to that, knowing that you are not who he's speaking to, just know he's not speaking to you, right? And we need to hold the motherfuckers accountable that are out here making black folks look crazy. You know what I'm saying? Fucking Sexy Reds out here, and the Meg Thee Stallions, and the Cardi B's, and you know what I mean? Like fucking NBA young boys and the Young Thugs and the, right? That shit glorified, dog. Got money behind it, and it you know, it's the hip hop, the prison lifeline, dog. It's done that a certain way. Anyway, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it, dog. Thoughts?
So I am curious why at the end he says he's not mad at it. Okay. I'm mad at it. I'll tell you that much. About the narrative that's being spun, the division that's being created. Yeah. We should all be mad at it. And the more people start to adapt those worldviews, the more pissed off we need to be, not less. So, all right. Hope to see you guys in the next video.